You're born into the spotlight, literally. Your first memories aren't of a home with a white picket fence, but of sawdust under your feet and applause ringing in your ears. The circus isn't just where you work, it's your entire world. Your playground is a death-defying trap suspended 50 feet in the air. While other kids learn to ride bikes, you're already doing quadruple somersaults without a net. That's because your parents are slightly insane. After all, they're legends in the circus world. The flying Graysons aren't just any trapeze act, they're the trapeze act. And you're the prodigy, the natural. By age 8, you're already joining the family routine for the finale. The crowd goes wild when you swing into your mother's arms after a flip. They don't see the bruises from when you were learning. Sometimes, you wish it would just be all over, but that day comes sooner than you expected. After a rigorous week of training, the circus rolls into Gotham City. Just another stop on the endless tour. Another city, another show. You've never had a hometown, never stayed in one place long enough to make real friends outside the circus. Your idea of school is whatever textbooks your mom can go through with you between performance, but your mom also teaches you to be observant, and on that night, you notice something strange. There's something weird about the trapeze your parents are going to swing on. The metal looks different somehow. You try to tell your dad, but he ruffles your hair, and says it's just pre-show jitters. We've done this 1,000 times, Dick, he says with that confident smile that always makes you feel safe. We'll do it 1,000 more. They won't though. You're watching the platform where the cable snaps. There's a split second, this horrible, eternal split second, where you see your parents' expressions change from joy to shock. Then gravity does what gravity does. You learn some new words that night, words like sabotage and word of the state and no next of kin. The police ask you questions you don't have answers to. The circus has to move on to the next city. The show must go on, except you're not part of the show anymore, and you're kicked into the social service system in Gotham. Eventually, you end up in a juvenile detention center, which might as well be prison. The other kids figure out quickly that you're a circus freak. When you define yourself with moves you learn from the circus strongman, they just come at you in bigger groups next time. You sleep with your back to the wall, eyes open, and pray that somehow you'll make it out of here. Then, out of nowhere, Bruce Wayne billionaire playboy shows up. When they tell you he's taking you in, you're sure there's a catch. Maybe he needs someone to clean his mansion. Maybe it's a publicity stunt. Nobody just takes in circus orphans out of the goodness of their heart. But by the time you're in his limo, you actually start to believe that it's happening. When you get to the Wayne Manor, you can't believe how massive it is. Your bedroom is bigger than the trailer your family shared. There's an old man named Alfred who seems nice enough. But Bruce is barely there. When he is, he's awkward around you. Like, he doesn't know what to do with the child, which is fair enough, because you don't know what to do with the billionaire. Naturally, because you're bored out of your mind, you start exploring Wayne Manor, and this grand old house has a lot of secrets. Like a lot of them. When you find the entrance to the Batcave behind the grandfather clock, your first thought isn't even shock. It's, well, that explains it. Though, when you spot Bruce down there, you wonder if you've just messed up your shot at the easy life as the foster son of a billionaire. But Bruce doesn't even seem surprised when you confront him. It's like he wanted you to find out. That's when it hits you. Taking you in wasn't charity, it wasn't guilt, it was recognition. This was all part of his plan. Not only are your parents dead, but now you're being groomed into becoming something you have no choice in. Bruce sits you down and lays it all out. Help Batman catch the man who killed your parents. Train. Become something criminals fear. Channel all that rage into something productive. As if there's any actual choice here. You're 9 years old with nowhere else to go. Of course you say yes. And oh boy, that's a decision you're probably gonna regret. The training is brutal. Bruce Wayne might look like a playboy, but Batman is a drill sergeant from hell. Broken bones, dislocated shoulders, concussions. You fall asleep in class because you spent the night before learning how to escape from underwater handcuffs. Your teacher thinks you're a rich brat coasting on Bruce's name. If only they knew what you had to do at home. But finally, after time and time of training, it's time for you to head out into Gotham and kick some criminal ass. Your first night as Robin feels like flying without a net. Better even. The costume is bright and colorful, your tribute to your circus roots. Batman growls that it makes you a target. You don't care though. In the future, you start to think that maybe you did look a little stupid, but we'll get to that. You and Bruce track down some criminal gangs until eventually you get a lead on the guy who killed your parents, a bumbling idiot called Zuko. When you finally corner Zuko, something strange happens. You want to hurt him, badly, but you also feel empty? Turns out revenge isn't the magic fix Bruce implied it would be. Your parents are still dead, you're still an orphan, all those nights of training, the broken bones, the sacrificed childhood, and the payoff lasts about 5 minutes. Then what? Nothing. You start to wonder what the rest of your life is actually going to look like now. So you start to make connections in the superhero world to figure out what your options are. You meet a bunch of superhero sidekicks, Kid Flash, Aqualad, and Speedy. They get it. They live the same crazy double life as you. Eventually, you form the Teen Titans. It's like finding the family you lost, Except this family also tracks psychopaths and alien invasions. Nothing's ever simple in the cape business, and your relationship with Bruce gets more and more strained as you grow up and want to become more independent. Bruce did train you to think for yourself, but then he acts surprised when you do exactly that. He criticizes your leadership of the Titans, and you call him a control freak. The truth is, you've outgrown your role of sidekick, but you can't see past the little boy he took in. Ironically, he was the one that made sure of that. You can't tell if Batman is an abuser or a savior. The breaking point comes surprisingly quietly. No big villain, no city-threatening disaster, just one criticism too many. One more instance of Bruce treating you like a soldier instead of a partner. You throw the Robin costume at his feet and walk away, escaping to the city of Bloodhaven to try and make your life your own. So, Bloodhaven is basically what you get if you take Gotham and remove the charm. Anything that's too dirty for Gotham ends up here. Your apartment leaks when it rains. Your neighbors are either cops, criminals, or too beaten down to care for which is which. Awful as it is, you realize that Bloodhaven is your chance to be free and protect a city outside the shadows of Batman. Eventually, you get used to living alone, and you decide to create your very own identity inspired by Kryptonian legend, Nightwing. Nightwing is your rebirth, your declaration of independence. The costume is your design, sleek, practical, with just enough flair to honor your circus roots. For the first time in your life, you're not following someone else's script. Meanwhile, back in Gotham, life moves on without you. Bruce collects new Robins like they're going out of style. Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Stephanie Brown, Damian Wayne, the list goes on. The family grows while you're trying to establish yourself elsewhere. When you visit, it's awkward. You're neither an outsider nor truly part of things anymore. You helped build this family, then somehow became a distant cousin. You wonder if it'll just drift away from them until the unthinkable happens. Batman dies, and the whole house of cards collapses. Suddenly, everyone's looking to you. The oldest, the first, the heir apparent. Gotham needs a Batman, and the cape and the cowl are metaphorically being held out to you. But that doesn't stop every villain from becoming copycat Batman. And you also need to fight your brother Jason Todd and Tim Drake for the cowl as well. Somehow, you find yourself fighting for a position that you don't even know if you're ready for or want. But the other Robins are definitely less ready, so you feel like you have no choice. So, you finally get the cowl, but it doesn't fit right. Physically, sure, Alfred tailored it perfectly, but mentally, you're not Bruce. You don't have his darkness, his obsession. You try to be a different kind of Batman who occasionally smiles, who also works with the police instead of despises them. Some call it refreshing, but others call it sacrilege. You're not sure which is worse. Oh, and as a bonus prize for taking the job nobody wanted, you get to mentor Bruce's biological son, Damian, a 10-year-old assassin raised by the League of Shadows who's never satisfied with you. Now, you're not just Batman, you're a parent, and you have the responsibility of turning this little psychopath into a good person somehow. So you go to the Justice League for help, but you can just tell how little they really respect you. Superman tries to be encouraging. Wonder Woman is politely skeptical. The Flash makes jokes when he thinks you can't hear. You were a founding member of the Titans, but in the big leagues, you're just a kid playing dress up in dad's clothes. It's impossible to get out of Bruce's shadow, no matter what you do. You're doomed to live a life in the shadow of a foster father who didn't think you were ready for the cowl. But before you get the chance to actually grow into the role of Batman, Bruce returns from the dead, and the handover is awkward. Okay, so your dad is back now. He thanks you for keeping his city safe. You thank him for letting you borrow his life. You guys never really mention it again. Just step back into your own roles. Back to Nightwing. Back to your own man. Except, are you? The circus aerialist, Robin, Titan, police officer, Batman, Nightwing again. With each identity, you lose a little more of yourself. Dick Grayson is becoming the mask you wear when you're not wearing a mask. The trauma accumulates. Your parents' deaths, you're falling out with Bruce, Jason Todd's death and horrible resurrection, Bloodhaven's destruction. Every time you build something, a home, a team, a relationship, the universe seems determined to tear it down. Then, one day, Bruce hits you so hard across the face that one of your teeth flies out. He grabs it and shows you the symbol of the Court of Owls underneath. Turns out, you were being bred as one of the court's master assassins, and you had no idea. This whole time, you were going to become one of those ghouls. You can't help but wonder about that life if you had become a Talon. Maybe the reason you weren't a good Batman is because you would have been better evil. For a while, you turned to the villainous side, embodying the persona of Renegade to infiltrate the bad guys, but that doesn't feel right either. No matter how hard you try, nothing really fits you. So yeah, it sucks to be Dick Grayson. You got skills that Olympic athletes would kill for, the respect of some of the most powerful beings on the planet, and enough charm to talk your way out of any situation. But you've also got the weight of multiple legacies on your shoulder, trauma that would break most people, and a deep, persistent uncertainty about where you truly belong.